did in classroom management. I really gravitated. Yeah, right. I lasted there 1 year, and I really gravitated towards the kids that struggled, both behaviorally and with academics. And so started thinking about special education, came back to Nebraska, got an emergency certification, which was very common back then, and actually did not get a job while I was pursuing my special education, and I needed a paycheck, and so started paying my bills by subbing. And one of the places I subbed was an inpatient psychiatric facility. And I remember sitting in the parking lot thinking, what in the world am I doing? But I needed the pay, and almost didn't go in, and ended up loving it from the first day. And so then I just became known as somebody that would take the tough jobs, got long-term subpositions for several teachers who were in programs with kids with challenging behavior, either a general ed classroom with somebody that had challenging behavior, or a self-contained classroom that served kids with severe behavior disorders. And I loved it.
Azeroff, and Beth Azeroff is a person that I just think is one of the greatest in the field of applied behavior analysis. And I studied that with her, and I always credit her with teaching me everything I know about the importance and the art of positive reinforcement and recognizing people for what they do well. And so she had a great influence on my career. And then I got involved in the Council for Children with Behavioral Disorders, which is a wonderful group. Had the opportunity to work with Lyndall Bullock, who got me so involved in all the professional development activities. And then also worked a lot in advocacy with my dear friend Eleanor Getzlow. And we worked together on so many pieces of legislation, and we just wouldn't take no for an answer when when we wanted something that for children with behavioral disorders.
Kathyrn?
I too feel like I've been very blessed in terms of good mentorship. As I told you, Frank was like the person that, made me cross over into emotional and behavior disorders. When I was in that training program, it was Don McMillan and Frank Gresham that I feel like just gave me every opportunity to learn and, to reconcile with mistakes. And I felt like I had great teaching opportunities. And my advisor for my doc program was Sharon Duffy, and she was a very patient mentor. But I feel like at each transition, when I took my first faculty job, before I transitioned to that, Steve Forness was very important to me, and Hill Walker was huge, as was Jim Kaufman, in terms of shaping my thinking about how to help these kids. And then when I went to University of Arizona, I met John Embright, and he continues to be a great mentor to me. So I feel that there's just been numerous people, and I think that's one of the blessings of our field, is that I feel like people take the time to invest at this conference, at Teacher Educators for Children with Behavior Disorders.
That's so true.
It's like you can have a glass of wine with Jim Kaufman around a fire, and it's like, I just remember the first time I got to go was actually in 1998. And I remember it because I felt like I was at a rock star for, a concert for nerds, It's like, oh my God, I've read you. Yeah. Look at all the name tags. Yeah. But people take the time and they invest. And I think about like conversations I've had with Steve Forness. I feel like every time I'm at that conference, he shows up to one thing that I'm doing and really I feel like listens. And Hill Walker continues to invest. And one of the things I like about our group is that we pay it forward, which is
movement in our field. I have some concerns about the tasks we are expecting of general ed, and in particular the class sizes. And I think that although it ensures longevity for our field, I just think I often think of Tom Skirdick, we just need to raise everything and start over. But on the other hand, I think sometimes we don't listen to the good research that we know. I think often of the findings of the National Longitudinal Transition Study and the vocational, very clear the need for vocational and more relevant, meaningful instruction, and I turn to my mentor in that regard. And then, Kathleen's work in merging the academic focus. But I think we're losing sight of the creativity and the the dimensions our children bring to us, and we flew up by shoving them or forcing them into the academic mold only and providing them with no other options. We lose them. With the dropout rates speak to it. I believe the same thing for urban children. I think that we should work with urban children in the same way as with students with emotional behavioral disorders. Small classrooms, consistent, structured environments with alternative paths embedded. And how do we make learning exciting for our students? And that's my passion. And I just cry when I see programs being cut. And I did. The advocacy works, though. I did go to the legislature and save one program. It was so wonderful. And the students sold plants to the whole town. And, they raised them and talk about skills selling. And, that's what we want to see.